up, Angel City? It's your girl Panda here for another episode of Angel City Chicks. It's been a long time coming, 2 weeks to be exact. And what a great time to come on here and talk to all of you. We have some fantastic games to talk about, some interesting information as well, and a pregame to talk about as well that feels like it should be in our favor. But we'll get into all of that. But first, let me introduce my co-host. It's, of course, none other than the one, the only, the always fantastic Nina Kiefer. What's going on?
What's up, everybody? Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can get all those notifications of when we are live. We are at Angel City Chicks on all of the socials. And of course, get with us live. Get in our comments. Get in the chat. Let us know how you feel about things. This show is not just about us. It is about your opinion as well. So we're super excited to have you joining us today, and we'll incorporate it into the show. So that's always fun, you know?
Yeah, you can be part of this show. You can give us all those thoughts that are just burning a hole in your brain and you need to get them out. Come on out. Don't be afraid. Yep. Don't be shy. We want to hear what you have to say. Because let me tell you, we all have differing opinions. We all have different thought processes when it comes to things. And, you know, we're just two people who are talking about ours, and you guys just happen to be able to listen to it while we do it. So throw yours in there, get on here, throw in your comments, disagree with us, you know, devil's advocate. You can play that if you'd like, but we'd love to have you on, of course. So
despite some opinions that are spread online, you and I don't speak for the team. We actually don't even speak for each other. We don't speak for, you know, the fan base in general. We represent two opinions, mine and yours.
Yeah, and they are oftentimes very opposite.
Yep. Frequently.
We have a lot of them, which is what makes this fun. So real quick, though, shout out. Feeling like I need, after last night's game, we were at LAFC, I really felt like I really needed some hydration.
Are you unwell?
Shout out to Alex Cooper, the godfather herself in the pod world. If you don't know who I'm talking about, well, Daddy Gang, you know what's up. I'm drinking her new drink, and it's fantastic. It's called Unwell, and she, if you didn't know, is a recent partner or sponsor for the NWSL, which I think is super cool. I think we've talked about this on one of the other pods when it first came out, but yeah, soccer player herself. So absolutely love this partnership. And that is what I will be drinking on this podcast. Some Unwell rapid hydration and focus. This one's strawberry. It's got electrolytes. It has a whiff of caffeine in it. And it's also got B vitamins, and it's actually delicious. It does have a little sugar in it. So I think that's what helps.
So I'm drinking Spindrift, which is weird because usually tonight is like you and I are like, oh, let's each have a glass of wine. Whenever we pod, it's like pod and a wine, pod and a wine.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think we're off today. We're off our game.
We had all the wine last night. I think that was the problem. So, yeah, sorry, you guys didn't get to witness that, but good time. It was a good time. So we are officially in hydration mode, and I love it, and it's great. Get yours. I got mine at Target, so check it out. So,
all right. And with that, let's get into a little happy news before we go too far. You know, every year, each team gets to nominate someone for the Lauren Holiday Impact Award presented by Nationwide. And it's really exciting. It's a moment where we get to reflect on all of the things that our players are doing in the community, the organizations they support. And this year's nominee is Katie Zalem. And, you know, I want to say, though, Katie is supporting Girls Play Los Angeles, GPLA, the Leadership Academy program. Isn't that like the third year in a row? Like, I'm not mad at it, but I feel like all of our players always choose this organization, and that says great things about what the city of LA is doing.
Yeah. I mean, they're recognizing it, and they're absolutely doing wonderful things. So, I mean, whatever. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So apparently they like something about this, and it keeps encouraging people to partner with it. So why not? I love it. We need more advocacy in the community when it comes to the youth development, and especially girls in sports here in LA. So fantastic. Congratulations to Katie Zalem. I love it.
Yep. If it's a good program, why change it? Absolutely 100% agree with you. And, I should have worn my Girls Play LA shirt today. I wasn't even thinking. And that's the
Oh,
only box. I said I've unpacked every box since I moved. That is the only box I haven't unpacked, is like all of my like game shirts, sports shirts, and things like that.
yep.
Yeah.
Love
Oh,
that
well.
for you. Oh, well, who cares? If you're not wearing it, keep it in the box. I'm so sorry. You know what? They say if you have something in your closet or your drawer that you have not worn for at least 1 year, you should get rid of it. So I think you leave it there. And if you haven't gotten out of the box, you just push that box into the donation bin.
I know. I actually did that. There's a box from the first move that never got unpacked, and it's just going. It's like, we're good.
Absolutely. So, all right. So on this pod, we are going to talk about the 2 game recaps, which I love how the last game recaps we did 2 games and it was 2 losses. It was 2 sad times. So for this, we get to do 2, I would say, albeit somewhat happy with a little bit of an edge to it,
We'll
but
go happy score lines.
happy score lines, absolutely. And I like that we get to talk about that because the girls are hot right now. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing, and we had some fun stuff. So do you want to get into this first game recap?
Yeah, let's dive into it. So we're taking you back in time a little bit. Scoreline ended up 3-4 for Angel City against the Washington Spirit. Absolutely crazy game. We had goals from Tiernan. She had her first brace. Giselle Thompson earned her first goal in the 22nd minute off an assist from her sister, which I love. And of course, our girl, Katie Zalem, earning a goal as well. So that was 4 goals for Angel City to Washington Spirit's 3. Absolutely fantastic match. It is Angel City was the first club in NWSL history to score a goal in the first 15 minutes of a match in 4 consecutive games. Like, that is absolute road game, sorry to be specific. Absolutely incredible for them. And I have nothing bad to say about this game. I thought it was great. Our stats line even reflects
It
that.
was it when they confirmed like that's first time there's ever been a sister link up like that, which is kind of cool. And I think they talked about that they always dreamed of that moment whenever they could link up for a goal, and here it is. It happened, and it was a beautiful. I loved the beautiful cross from Melissa and Giselle just there, able to put it away with her nice little hop. But who I want to talk about is who bookended this game, none other than Riley Tiernan with the 8th minute and the 98th minute. Like, I love the consistency there. Just amazing. I mean, the game winner. I mean, I'm so happy for her, and she's just really coming out as I mean, she was tied for second for the Golden Boot, and obviously, I think the front runner far and away for Rookie of the Year at this point. So anxious to see how the rest of the season plays out for her. But no doubt coming out of the gates hot, and glad she was able to tie that one up with a nice little bow and sending Washington Spirit back to their homes as the losers of this game. So either way,
100%, Aaron, Rookie of the Year, Riley Tiernan, calling it now. Don't care. You can say it's too early. She's on fire, and I think she's just going to keep clicking.
She's fantastic. Real quick, talk about these statistics. Anything stick out to you in this, as far as on this matchup for with Spirits and Angel City?
I mean, it's funny because we only won by 1, and it was a tight game. I mean, up until the last few minutes, it wasn't too one-sided, but you look at the stats and we have 59% possession. We took 23 shots, of which 9 are on target. That's more than tripling what Washington Spirit did. We just crushed them in every possible statistic. And, those set pieces becoming ever increasingly important with those 9 corner kicks.
Yeah, clearly. And it's just 207 accurate passes does not seem like a lot to me for some reason. Like, it seems very low. But again, I mean, they clearly did a lot with it when they got the ball, because they did have 3 goals, even considering they didn't have much possession, and they only had 3 shots on target, which they all 3 went in. So
yeah,
kind of an interesting
only 1 big chance missed. So that's a good percentage, but
yeah, they were dialed in, but we did dominate and came out on top. And a lot of fun. definitely enjoyed that one. That was a great game. And, that just helps us to pivot into the home match that happened last Friday, which unfortunately, neither of us were able to make it. You were, where were you?
Minneapolis. Yeah.
You were out of town. Nina was in Minneapolis. Wow.
Minneapolis. I was
Guys,
in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. And I was on my deathbed. So, which basically the same as being in Minneapolis, I guess. But
Oh, it
either
was
way,
beautiful.
I'm just
No, it was
kidding.
so
Kidding.
pretty.
But yes, no, I was on my deathbed. I ran a marathon down in Newport Beach on May 4th, and then the rest of that game, I'm reading the notes. The rest of that week, I just kind of felt pretty crummy. And I think my body just shut down. And so I almost went to the game on Friday, but I decided after work, I went straight home and I downed half a bottle of NyQuil and called it a night. But I did follow the game on my phone here and there, and then obviously we'll get into that. So
yeah. So before we get into the big incident and everything and touching base on everything with Savvy King, we do want to just highlight the basics of the match. Angel City did win 2-0. The game finished. Press scored a goal. Thank God. Her 49th career NWSL regular season goal scored in the 66th minute. That puts her in 9th place for the NWSL all-time scoring list. And of course, Angelina Anderson earning her 2nd career NWSL shutout. We had a goal from Alyssa Thompson way into stoppage, and Press definitely setting that tone. What's impressive about Press's goal, I feel like, is how quickly it happens. She subs in the 65th minute, and in the 66th, she scores her goal off of a assist from Alana Kennedy. And, I want to highlight what Kristen Press says about her subbing in, because, you and I give our opinions all the time, but we also get quotes, and that's always fun to deal with.
And I like that her opinion kind of matches up with how we feel about Press's presence on this team and her role.
Right? Okay. So Press says, having a lot of experience allows me to see the benefit in being able to come in and do whatever my role is. But a game like tonight is perfect. It's when everything lines up. It's a game where the team is dominating and creating a lot of chances, and all they need is that finishing touch. I was really excited to come into this game. It's the kind of game I want to come into. So Press is recognizing the importance that she plays as a substitute, as that super sub.
Yeah. And I mean, that's something that we've both kind of said a lot and talked about, whenever the statement came out about, she should be, starting games and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, this team is really coming out the gates every game, really dynamic. These young kids have really done a lot. I mean, and it's so impressive. What happens is in those later moments of those matches, when things get a little rocky, maybe they claw back another goal and they start to get kind of rattled. They really need some veteran leadership out there on the field to kind of like guide them, help them, calm them, ground them, do the things that a leader does, because they have been in those positions so many times, because they've been in this game for a long time. Unlike, the rookies who are still learning how to process those kinds of emotions and situations. So I've always said, I think Press would be fantastic as a super sub, because I think she kind of gives it some much needed leadership on the pitch at a crucial time when Angel City seems to give up the most goals, which is in the 67th, 68th minute through the 75th. There always seems to be like this weird moment where the tides turn and then they don't really know how to right the ship from there. And this is a perfect example of her feeling kind of the same way. Like she knew exactly what her role was in that game. And in that moment, the girls had held it down and done their thing. And her role in that moment was to pull one ahead for this team and lead them, in that moment. And I love that. Claire Emsley has been awfully quiet this season as far as, when it comes to goals and stuff. Now we know she's fantastic in her service and that's something that you don't see on the stat lines a lot of times, just the way that she can, provide the corner kicks and the free kicks. She's fantastic with that. But,
yes.
Kristen Press in that moment comes in and just, she really, showed she still got it. She still got that athleticism, kind of breaking a few ankles, thankfully not hers. and just a beautiful shot that made itself into that upper left-hand corner. And Chef's kiss. Loved that.
Absolutely. And what I'll say about Kristen Press's playing style is she plays well off the ball. She's able to create space in ways that other people can't. And that is just been her natural ability and her natural soccer IQ. So a lot of it is also as soon as everybody's tired and they've played 60 minutes or an hour into their workout, and she gets to come in and 1010% clearly exploit that weakness.
Right.
And it's fantastic. It's vintage Kristen Press, as everyone is saying.
And being a veteran in the game, she does know how to do that, and like a young player that comes in as a super sub, they come in there and they might have the energy, but they might not have the mindset on how to kind of devolve a team from the, where they're heading with their style of play. So, I think that's fantastic. And I love that. And I know that that's only going to make her feel better. That's only going to raise her confidence, something that, I'm sure she's been trying to gain and everything. So I love that, that Sam has, is using her, has listened. And, again, we don't know what happens in practice. We don't know what he sees and why he makes the choices he does, but I like where we're at currently. I like the way things look currently. And, as the chat says, be interested to see how much Alex Strauss changes the lineups and subs when he gets here. Cause yeah, you're right. We only have 2 more games with him. And, is there going to be any changes? Cause right now, we're always looking for changes in the middle of the season. It seems like in the middle of the season, we're like, okay, something's not working. What do we do? And now we're in a weird kind of situation where all of a sudden we actually kind of like the way we're playing and we don't want to mess with it. And we're about to have a big change. So this is very interesting times, Nina. The drama in a positive way, as far as, the way this team is playing is a lot of fun. Actually, I very much enjoy this instead of, the way we've kind of felt over the last couple seasons. And
I'll take a win any day. And I know I've been on the press, like anti-press chain essentially, but this is why I do like her. This is what I want from her. I want her to come in and make a difference and be impactful. As much as you can say you prefer one player over another, at the end of the day, what we want to win. Like that's every single fan here just wants to win. And, it's unfortunate that we now have to transition to a scary topic. And I mean, Panda, you work in the medical field. You deal with health day in and day out. You are in high pressure situations that I could never imagine being in. So I'm going to let you intro this next topic about what happened in the 75th minute of this match.
Okay. So if you were watching, or if more than that, if you were actually there in the stands, then obviously you witnessed a terrifying, scary, just really heartbreaking moment that happened with Savvy King. And that happened, I think it was right before the 75th minute, which is important to note. And we'll get into that as well. And so for a good 10 minutes, they were addressing a situation that, that all day I've thought about this topic and how much I really want to say and how much I want to go into, because I feel like we are, like I've told you, we're missing a huge piece of the puzzle. And that is exactly what the team was told before they went back to the field and how much control they had in stepping back on that field. I don't know that. So, but I'll get into some things just to maybe, clear the air on things. But either way, if you're watching, then you saw Savvy King kind of go down. And I think a lot of people thought initially she went down with what looked like, maybe a lower leg injury or something, the way she kind of grabbed it. But, it's very apparent pretty quickly that that was not the case, as medical personnel did make their way onto the pitch. And in such a way that you could tell that it was urgent. You could tell that it was serious. You could tell that this was not your run-of-the-mill cramp, sprained ankle, strained ankle, something like that. So much to, the fact that, everything we've heard is that they did provide compressions, did bring an AED onto the field. And I'll explain that too as well. And we're able to get her underlying normal sinus rhythm, heart rate back to normal while on the field, which is first and foremost the most important thing. And that's incredible. And I just really have to commend the medical staff for what they did, because when you see a player go down, your initial thought probably is like, it's an injury. Like your brain is thinking injury. Your brain is not
You
thinking.
don't go to worst case.
You don't go to life-saving measures immediately. So anybody criticizing them for not running out there fast enough, first and foremost, you have to put yourself in their position. You're watching this, you see someone go down, and 99% of the time when there's an injury on the pitch, that's what it is. It's an injury. It's not something life-threatening, But they quickly were able to recognize that and get out there and do what they needed to do. And for those of you who don't know what an AED is, I thought I would take this time to educate that. That is, an external defibrillator. And what that does is you put pads on there. They can recognize if your heart is in some kind of abnormal rhythm, which it can go into an abnormal rhythm for a multitude of reasons. I can't even go into that. I've been at work all day. You don't need that. And when they hook that up, then they can obviously tell what rhythm they're in, and it'll tell you, should we shock this heart? So if there was no heartbeat at all, you don't shock it. You don't shock a dead heart. That's what they say. That's how you know. You keep doing compressions. You do the compressions. But if it's erratic and it's doing some crazy things because something is set it ablaze, you shock it and it resets it back to normal. And then your heart can start pumping blood the normal way. So if they did deliver a shock and use an AED, then that just tells me that somehow she went into an arrhythmia that probably caused her to pass out, meaning maybe blood flow did not go where it was supposed to because the heart wasn't pumping right. And she went down, passed out. They probably couldn't feel a good, strong pulse. It was probably very thready at best. And that's why they did compressions to keep that blood circulating so that they could shock the heart and put it back to where it needs to be so it can do its job. So from everything I see, that's what happened. Fantastic. That's great. The thing that I'll say that is the most in that moment, that's the most positive is that they had a oxygen mask on her, which is far better than had they okay, I'm just reading this. I'm reading comments. I saw them preparing the AD. Fortunately, they felt confident enough at the last minute not. So yeah. So if they didn't shock her, then that's fine. Whatever it was, again, maybe there was just a drop in pressure, something. Maybe they didn't like how her pulse felt at that moment. Maybe she bradyed down, which means her heart rate went low, and it wasn't perfusing her correctly. So again, this isn't something I know that in that moment, would she have bounced out of on her own, or did it in that moment require the medical intervention? And it doesn't matter. We're not going to know that answer at all, and I'll tell you why it was important later. But she left with an oxygen mask, which was important because that means she didn't get intubated. She was breathing on her own accord. And from what I've heard, she was responsive in ways that allowed them to know that, okay, we can get her safely to an emergency vehicle and transfer her to a hospital so we can get the proper cardiac workup. So,
yeah. So before we get into the drama of this all, Angel City and Savvy King's family, it's important to note that they both released their statements simultaneously. They put these out and they said that Savvy, they discovered a heart abnormality and she had a successful surgery on Monday to address it. So Angel City puts out a statement. Also, the family, like I said, puts out a statement, both thanking the fans, thanking everyone for their kindness, asking for continued prayers and space so that Savvy can continue to heal and train, and thanking the medical staff. That's the big takeaway. Everyone is thanking the medical staff.
Absolutely. And they should. And I guess one thing I really want to just address is, in the comments, I mean, there's a lot of emotion about this, and rightfully so. You guys, a lot of you are witnessing something that you don't normally witness, and for someone like me, obviously, I see stuff. Unfortunately, I like this all the time. But one thing I do want to point out is all the comparisons that people are making in the comments about, well, the NFL stopped a game. Why, they did it for them. Why not us? I do want to just point out real quick, just the severity of that injury to what they were referencing, which was Damar Hamlin. Damar Hamlin was shocked multiple times. He had to be intubated. He was not conscious when he left the field. He actually had to be defibrillated again en route to the hospital. So basically his heart was a whole mess. When he left that field, there was no guarantee that he was going to survive. There was no guarantee that he was going to wake up. And there was no guarantee that if he did wake up, that he wouldn't have some sort of anoxic brain injury and be forever altered in some way. So just having said that, them not continuing that game, I definitely see the reason for that, because it's really hard to rally your team around something that is such an unknown, like to that extreme. Like in that moment, they didn't have any kind of little thumbs up. They didn't have any kind of little like, okay, well, he opened his eyes or he is breathing on his own, but he really needs help. We're going to get him there. They didn't have that. They had, we don't know. We have no idea. They don't know why it happened, obviously, and we found out why later. And if anybody wants to, talk to me about that, I will go into it. So just want to show just the differences, when you're comparing those, that there's a big difference. It doesn't mean anything in the big picture of things, but if you're going to compare the two, at least know why those aren't the exact same, and maybe why things played out a little differently. So either way.
Yeah. So within that, Angel City did continue the game. We hinted, or not Angel City, I should say. The NWSL did continue the game. And, I think everyone has mixed feelings on this. I think it's a very scary, traumatic thing. I understand that there is a difference between conscious and unconscious, and like what are life-saving medical treatments that need to be put in place and things like that. I am not in the medical field. I would probably have been crying. I probably would have been on that same, pathway. But one thing I want to also point out is Megan Reed is in the huddle. She's an EMT. She's a firefighter. And according to the press conference that happened right after the game, Megan is telling the girls step by step, no, they're doing this. This is a good sign. So as much as it is a terrifying situation, I do think that you can see both sides of play on or end the game. So technically the rule is 75th minute, it can be considered a full game. This happened just a few seconds shy of it. So I think there would have been support should that have happened. Now, whether or not somebody was on site or available to make that call or decision, that's the unclear part. And within that, the NWSL came out right away. They didn't make an official statement, but they said, we continue to evaluate, we learn. So we're taking this, we're looking at it, and we're looking for areas of improvement. And, that's something I even do at my work every day. I'm like, is this the best clipboard we can be using? Let's find a different clipboard. It's an ever-growing, ever-changing process. And I respect that. Now, let's get into the it should have been canceled side. We'll give you both. We're going to give you both arguments.
We're going to do both. And I'm not going to, I don't want anybody to like come at us for, how could you say, like, no, I think there's just too many unknowns. Yeah, there's too many unknowns for me to say this or that. What I can tell you is what I think should happen or how I think it should go. So, real quick, let's go on the it shouldn't happen, right?
Okay.
It's the 74th minute, and that this game is going to not count if you suspend it, right? And at that point you care more about your player and you're not in the right frame of mind for it. And, maybe you just,
how are you supposed to focus? It's traumatic.
Sure. Absolutely. How are you supposed to focus, blah, 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 and all that. And I get that. Like, no one should have to force themselves to play through something that is affecting them mentally. I mean, take Sydney Leroux. Yeah. She's not playing right now because she's addressing her mental health. She's stepped away from it. This is a one-off that, definitely like in that moment, can you collectively pull yourself together enough to do something and go out there and play and feel good about it too? I think that's the another key is, are you going to feel good about stepping back on that pitch and playing that game? And if the answer is no, then yeah, absolutely. I totally get that.
And within that, if some players are comfortable advancing, but some are like, I need to sub out, I can't do this. Do you weigh that into consideration? These are things that you and I are not going to ever be privy to, and that's fine. But the statement from the NWSL Players Association says, our members are elite, world-class competitors who have proven they can perform under unimaginable conditions. That does not mean they should have to. And I fully understand and respect that statement. I definitely agree with that. 110%. Now, I think the question really does come down to how much of a say did they have in it? And
yeah. So that when I get asked this question or I face this statement from people, then that is my question. My question first and foremost is, how much information were they given about her condition? Like, were they fully understanding where she was at with everything before they stepped back on to that pitch? Did somebody communicate to them that, hey, she's awake, she is responsive, she's stable, and we're taking her? Did they know that? Okay.
All signs point to yes, they did. Yes. All signs point to yes. Everyone who was on the pitch was aware of that. They had a moment And not only that, but from what I've read and from what I understand, both teams were consulted.
And that is my other question. Like, how was this presented to the teams? Did they say, hey, if you're not comfortable moving forward and you guys vote to do this, we'll suspend it. The game will be wiped from the books or whatever. I don't know. That is why I can't give you an opinion on how this was handled, because I don't know how it was handled. What I can say is how I think it should have been handled. And I think that they should have approached both teams and given them the opportunity to say yay or nay. We want to continue. And if they both said, yes, we want to continue, then that's fine. I also think that maybe Angel City and the players need to come out and make that statement also, because obviously, a lot of people are throwing a lot of shade at this situation, when in the end, what if the players all did say, and that night in that game, yeah, we know she's okay right now and we want to play for her. We want to close this game out for her. We want this game to count, because we don't want her going down on this pitch in the way that she did to be in vain, because this game won't count. We want to go back onto that pitch and we want to win this one for Savvy. And the only way we can do that is if we continue playing. And that's the only way that, if me as an athlete who's been on sports and everything, if I was in that situation, that is how I guess I would feel. Not everyone feels that way, and that's fine. That is how I would feel. If my player had just gone down and suffered a medical emergency, and all of a sudden I'm faced with the opportunity that, well, we could just abandon this game and go home and just thoughts and prayers it out. But now we got to redo this game that may not go the same way, or we can do it for Savvy. And I cannot think for 1 second that those words weren't uttered once, twice, 300 times before they did go back on that pitch.
And then replayed over and over in every player's mind until that final whistle. So NWSL does put out a statement after the Players Association. This is the second statement that the NWSL puts out. They express gratitude and relief that Savvy is recovering, and the gratefulness for, of course, the medical staff. And then they reiterate, this is a serious incident, and we are reviewing the process. That process is underway. The last thing I want is the NWSL rushing through this and going, "Nah, we did fine. We did great." Like, I want you to actually analytically look at every step of the way and see, how could we have done better? How could we make improvements? And that's what they had said from the beginning they were doing. And that's what they're going to continue to do. So I feel like, to some degree, the Players Association almost throws the NWSL under the bus. Like, nope, you guys messed up. It's like, well, you haven't even given them a minute. Not only that, it's what's interesting, ongoing, and you can't speak about somebody's health until they release a statement. Now, on Instagram, Amanda, I want to get your opinion on this, because on Instagram, we're hearing fans do deserve an explanation on that, because it was traumatic. Angel City should make a statement. And I think this is something that is overwhelming for everybody. While you're there, the players are getting the information. The fans, not so much. The fans barely know what's going on. You and I have been in a game so many times, and we pull up our phones to listen to what the commentators are saying, because when you're in the stadium, you don't get info. So I totally agree. The fans deserve something.
Yeah, no, I absolutely do. And again, I've said this at the beginning, as my comment on this incident, how it was handled. I can't give you my standpoint, because I don't know how it was handled, to be honest. Like, that's just the blunt of it. Like, we hear statements, like Darth says in our comment, that what ESPN FC reported, how they approached the question was not really, do you feel comfortable continuing, or do you want to call the game? But it was, are you ready yet? Or do you need more time? So, I don't know. I mean, that's ESPN FC. That's somebody taking that kind of question. And also in that moment, hey, if somebody wasn't comfortable, then, hey, say, no, I'm not comfortable continuing. Like, let's talk about this. And, those are the things that they need to go back and look at and think about and talk about and everything. So,
and that's I don't want to investigate. Yeah. It's going to come out eventually. To be
investigated. We absolutely, and we need to be, I guess, enlightened on this, because it's really funny that I went back to the Players Association post, and for some reason, not a single Angel City player liked it. Like, you would think that the players, if they were pissed that they had to keep playing in those situations and hated it, they would post it. They would, unless they were told not to. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know enough, but what I can say is what I see and what I hear. And they didn't like the post, and I'm like, if they felt that way, then they need
And they
to
like it.
also let us know how they feel, because we don't know how they feel yet. Not a
Yeah.
single player from Angel City has really said that. So I don't know. I want to know more. I can't really say any more. All I can give you are the facts, and the facts are this: Savvy King is seems like she is on the way to recovery, fixing what would have been a congenital, looks like, heart malformation, if you will, and hopefully this isn't something that will have to affect her long term. Hopefully it's something that, I don't know, maybe in the long run, fixing something they didn't know was wrong will actually make her better in the end. Sometimes that's the case. Like, what if she wasn't getting, like, her heart wasn't pumping as effectively as it could because of this whole time, but she was just used to it? And now what if, like, all of a sudden she's got like superhuman speed and stamina because she's got a little bit of extra something? I don't know.
More blood flowing.
I can tell you this, it was about the best place for this kind of emergency to happen.
Yes.
I hate that anyone else had to see it. No one has to see that. I knew one of my friends who was there with her small child kept asking questions and wanting to know what was going on. And that's a hard place for parents to be, to explain that, like, you don't want to associate sports with that kind of injury, I guess. So,
well, it's supposed to be entertainment. It's supposed to be fun. But the reality is it's a contact sport. It's a sport that really does put your body on the line. And these are athletes, but they are also human. Yeah. So I think it's really important for us to show grace at this time. All we can say is we're glad Savvy is recovering. I think you've hit it on the nail. Imagine if she'd been at home or something like this. Like, she was in a place where medical care was not only ready and standing by, but also incredibly trained. And she was able to get that right away. Now, as far as should it have counted, should it have not counted, that's what they're investigating. That's what they're talking about. Should it continue? Should it not continue? For me, I think if I was there and I was playing and you asked me, I would have been like, let's win it for Savvy. That would have been my mentality. I would have been like, let's go, let's do this, because of the fact that she was conscious and she was, it wasn't.
If she had left that pitch intubated with an unknown, then yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. Like, no, I can't go on till I know she's okay. I can't go on until I know that she's in a good place. Yes. And if that's what I just want to know, if they knew that, and if that's all. So either way, let's not beat this to death, because again, these are all opinions. These are all assumptions. None of this, except the fact that she is doing well and she is recovering. That's the only fact that we know. And that's the only one that actually matters at this point. And I'm curious to see where this does go. I am.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to open up a whole new conversation. Like, what are grounds for immediate, like, no, we're not going forward, because, I don't know where you draw the line there. I feel like it's always going to be some sort of a feeler.
Like, the line was at the 75th minute for able to count the game or not. So it steps a few seconds short. Well, then where do you actually draw the line? Do you draw it at the 70th minute? And if not, then what? The 65th minute? Like, it's just...
Yeah, because let me just put this real quick. I mean, you look at a situation like Maxime Crepeau. He didn't have a life-threatening injury, but he had his foot almost ripped off. And let me tell you, that's pretty traumatic. And the thought of him, never being able to play again, like, that's a situation that could very much rattle someone. So, like, again, there's a lot of conversations that need to be had. Like, where's the line for this and that? And I don't know. I guess I do want to know where they come to this. Like, is there going to be a new policy that is instated based on, medical emergencies and things like that, and how they're handled? But either way, thank you for listening to us and entertaining us. And again, I know there's plenty of you out there that are going to disagree wholeheartedly, and that's fine. You have to understand, I'm also kind of coming from a medical standpoint, so I'm probably a little bit, I don't know. I have a little bit more blinders on to how, like, real severe it is. Like, for a lot of people, seeing someone just go down and that's it. Like, that's enough to be like, huh. So for me, I've seen the worst of the worst. I've seen it go completely. We've coded a patient, and they still have died, and I've been there. So forgive me for maybe again having a little bit of blinders on for saying
You're more informed. We'll leave it at that. You're
right.
practiced, you're performed. You see this day to day. But I think the big takeaway is we hope Savvy's okay, and everything is a learning experience. Everything is a growing experience. This more so than others because this is public. This is something where the NWSL can make a change, or they can at least provide clarity to the fans. And I think the fans deserve that, and the players deserve that. It doesn't need to be a gray area. And I think there is an opportunity for reflection and for people to weigh in. But let's look ahead. Savvy's looking ahead.
On a light note, really the only person that got hurt from all of this in the end by continuing to play was the Utah Royals.
Yes, indeed, because they ended up losing. And with that, we find ourselves in 5th place, taking those points away. We are in week 8, 8 games played. We sit there with 14 points, same amount of points as San Diego Wave, and just behind Washington Spirit and Orlando Pride. KC Current up at the top. We're going to be taking on Bay FC in 2 whole days. That's going to be today's Thursday, Saturday. Remember what day it was. I'm losing my mind a little bit.
The days are all running together at this point, I think.
Yep. But it's away Saturday, May 17th. So anyone who's road tripping up to San Jose, have a fantastic time. I'm going to be hitting the road again, but this time I'm off to Indianapolis or Napolis or Indy or whatever you want to call it. The Nashville and Brooklyn. Naptown,
baby.
I'm going to get my nap on. But looking at the head-to-head with Bay FC has won 2. We have won 1. There have been 0 draws this season so far, though Bay FC hasn't started off too well. They only have 2 wins, 2 draws, 4 losses. They're sitting in 12th place right now and averaging just 1 goal a match. So let's see if Angelina can get another shutout. That would be pretty fun for her. Absolutely. I'm feeling it.
Yep, exactly. So, real quick, I'm sorry. We ask people to be in the comments, so I always have to. If they do say something that I want to talk about, it just encourages them. But you are correct in saying that there is a fine line between respecting Savvy's privacy and assuring fans. Yeah, we don't need to know anything except that she's okay. So don't ask. If her family wants to say something, or she wants to say something, or she wants Angel City to say something on her behalf, then so be it. Until then, it doesn't matter. So,
yeah. And anyway. I think there can be transparency in the process, which hopefully it doesn't take the NWSL 5 years to put out a report about.
I like this comment. Every time I hear Bay FC, I start craving chicken. KFC, Bay FC. I love it. That's Well, let's hope they're chicken.
All right. So Bay FC, they've scored 5 goals in their last 5 matches. Angel City have scored 11 goals in their last 5 matches. I think I'll take the 11, just saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, and we average 1.9 goals per match, and I like this stat. Bay FC and Angel City FC have not drawn any of their matches, so someone always comes out on top. So it's going to be interesting. But Alyssa Thompson, she's ranked 2nd in big chances with 4, and their most big chances is from Caroline Conti with only 1. So I really feel confident going into this match, saying that I think Angel City should definitely be able to put away a solid win. Do you have any score predictions, Nina?
Oof. Oh, my floof. I'm gonna go 2-0. I think we get another shutout. I really do.
2-0? Yeah. I was thinking 2-0 too, so I don't mean to copy you, but yeah, I was thinking 2-0. I think we'll pick up 3 points on the road up in the Bay. I think it's going to be great. I think they're still going to have Savvy on the back of their mind, and I think that's just going to help propel them even more to do that for her. So that's where we're at.
You think they hold up her jersey during lineups or anything?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I definitely think they're going to do everything they can to keep her spirit front and center and everything. So yeah. Dos Acero is right. I think that's how it's going to end. I'm excited to see how that goes. Again, that game is on Saturday. What time did we say? At
7 p.m.
Pacific Standard Time up in San Jose, California. Make sure you tune in. It's on Ion TV. I never can remember. Like when I get on, I'm like, how do I get there again? Yeah. So
all right. And with that, we're gonna, instead of signing off with a quote today, none of the quotes felt appropriate given the gravity of this episode. We're just gonna end with well wishes for Savvy. I think that's an appropriate measure to take at this time, where we can all say a little tiny prayer for her, wishing her a speedy and healthy recovery and a quick return to the pitch if that is what she wants and that is what her doctors prescribe. These things are difficult for us all to deal with. Thank you, Panda, for helping talk us through it. Your expertise is always just so invaluable. And thank you for what you do every day.
Oh, my pleasure. Well, I'm glad I get to come and do stuff like this, which, I'm glad I can use this on something like that as well, too. It's nice to educate and everything. But either way, like you said, well wishes to her and her family. And hopefully, we get some more updates soon, that are positive in that sense. So you have anything else you want to say, or we let all these amazing people go? Yes.
Yeah, thanks for being with us in the chat. The show is not the same without you all. So,
and we always love your TiFos. You know that.
Absolutely.
I could never. I am not talented at all like that.
I can't draw stick figures, so
no. So you guys always kill it. That stadium's not the same without all of you guys out there and the supporters. So keep holding it down, and we'll keep doing our thing over here, and hopefully keeping you guys informed and entertained. And then until next time, hopefully we have some good news to report to you on all fronts. But we're gonna go, and I'm gonna finish my beverage. And have a good one, guys. Enjoy your weekend.